and Cambodia. Her research focus has been on poverty, income distribution, labor, gender, and entrepreneurship. She is on the board of trustees of the Sajatra Foundation and poverty-focused NGO and Gandhi Memorial Trust. On the 5th March 2019, the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education of Republic of Uzbekistan and Tashkent Institute of Finance conferred upon Professor Sulochana the title of Honorable Professor in recognition of outstanding contribution to international education. So it's indeed a great pleasure and honor for me to introduce the keynote speaker to you, dear audience. Over to you, Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair, joining us from all the way from Uzbekistan to show how much she is in connection with ourselves here in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Asif. Assalamu alaikum. I have to say that because I'm speaking from Uzbekistan, and that's the greeting here in this part of the world. Greetings from Bayangri International University, Urgench, Uzbekistan. It gives me great pleasure to deliver this keynote address. And first of all, a warm welcome to all participants for this international e-conference on work from home, challenges and prospects. I will focus on Malaysia as this is an international conference. You will get global perspectives and other perspectives from other speakers. And Malaysia has had more people working from home than the global average. And more than 1/3 of Malaysians had to take leave of absence, either reducing or increasing the number of hours since the pandemic. And 17% of Malaysians claim to have left or lost their jobs. This was an Icwfh survey for the World Economic Forum. Some of the challenges that came with working from home was increased anxiety with regards to job security, as well as, and Malaysians report the highest level of anxiety among the 28 countries surveyed by this Icwfh group of market researchers. Stress from change in routine, as family pressure were key concerns. And low-income employees experience of working from home. Balance also became a challenge during the work from home, and Malaysian employees found problems in achieving work-life balance, and the difficulty of getting work done at home due to inadequate home or office setup or equipment. And of course, more than half the employees felt lonely and isolated while working from home. So these were the main issues that arose as a result of working from home. Working from home, now when we talk about work from home, from a forced reality to an optional one. When the MCO was introduced in May 2020, Malaysians had no choice but to work from home. And it is important to understand that the work from home did not apply to all segments of the workforce. And 44% of the workers surveyed by the Malaysian Department of Statistics reported that they work from home as most business activities halted. However, the working arrangement of work from home only applied to standard workers or employees. And these people, these standard workers or employees are workers who work for the public or private employers and receive regular wages. And they are the most common employment type in Malaysia. That is 74% of total employment in 2019. 1 in 4 self-employed workers were also able to work from home. And in addition, job losses were also reported among 1 in 10 survey respondents. And when we look at the unemployment figures of Malaysia, in 2020, it increased. In March, it was about 3.9%. It increased to 5% in April 2020 and is remain high at about 4.7%. I think it's hovering around 4.5, 4.6% now. The respondents who were mainly able to work from home were those who were employed in highly paid economic activities, which made up less than 1/3 of Malaysia's workforce in 2019. And this, the fact that only a majority of workers were those who could only were the higher paid workers, this brought about the inequality aspects of work from home, which is something that needs to be taken into account, and that the well-paid workers were the immediate economic survivors, whereas the workers earning lower incomes were likely to be economic victims as they had to stop working. So this is a very important dimension that the work from home, as shown in the case of Malaysia, that is doesn't apply to everybody, number one. Number two is that it brings in an inequality element. Okay, who could work from home? That's another question. The first thing is that in order to work from home, you can't simply work from home. You need to have adequate equipment. You have to have adequate internet connectivity. Now, the whole world is today, when we are talking, we are connected from different parts of the world. That's because all of us have got internet, we've got the equipment. I've got laptops, I've got tablets, I've got my phone, all of that enable me to work. And also, but there are variations and there are digital divides in Malaysia, and even intra-sector divides in terms of access to hardware and software. So it is not that everybody can work from home. You need to be equipped for working from home. It doesn't happen automatically. And also the second factor that affects it when who can work from home is the nature of work. There are certain kinds of work that cannot be done from home. And these people, when we talk of work from home, we must realize that it doesn't apply to everybody. It applies to only a certain segment of the population who can work from home, and the others can't work from home. And there is an additional bias that's been introduced from working from home. This is based on the working from home is biased towards skilled workers compared to semi-skilled and low-skilled employees who can't work from home. Again, there is an income and an inequality dimension with work from home. The nature of work, what are the issues? The main issue that's been talked about by everybody is productivity loss. Is it true that productivity has actually been lost when people work from home? And this could have arisen because workers may face internet connection problems leading to interruptions in getting things done. And this must be addressed by the government and internet service providers if work from home is going to be the way forward. Another issue is whether of the work and health and safety of individuals who work from home. Who will be responsible if something happens when they are working from home? So the employer's responsibility is to provide a safe working place. But is this necessarily true when the employee works from home? Is the workplace and a safe workplace? And this is a challenge for an employer because they can't go around inspecting every employee's home to see whether it's a safe workplace. And also the work from home came with other challenges, which is disruption to work culture, social engagement, employer-employee interaction, and workflow. The SOCSO, or the Social Security Organization, has assured the contributors that they are covered for work-related accidents, even if it occurs in the home. But there are other trade union activists who say that if an employee is going to work from home, it must be covered by the law, and their home must be considered a workplace that is covered for injury and other incidents. And is Malaysia totally ready for work from home? Is the infrastructure in place? Not yet. And when there was a survey done to ask the various segments of society in terms of what is their view post-pandemic, because we have to look at post-pandemic. What is the view? Is the work from home going to continue, or is it going to be a thing just tied to the pandemic? And when this question was posed to employers, there was a difference in view between employers and employees. The public sector felt that work from home was a good thing and is likely to continue. And they were already talking about revising the Employment Act to allow for work from home. Whereas the private sector is not ready for work from home, and they feel that working from home is not a reality. And it should, and once things settle after the pandemic, workers should return to the workplace. When employees were asked, surprisingly, when a survey was done by Ernst & Young in Malaysia, the the survey showed that 8 out of 10 working from office full time when the pandemic, and these are similar to findings across the Ernst & Young would like to work anywhere, work remotely full time or in some kind of hybrid work arrangements. So now we have to talk, the way forward would be working in some kind of hybrid work arrangements. So what are these hybrid work arrangements? What needs to be done? And another factor that has changed in terms of the work from home is that organizational culture has changed. This is more Dr. Midya's area, but organizational culture has, some feel that the organizational culture has improved, while others feel that organizational culture has worsened. So when we talk about working from home with more flexible work arrangements, there are many things that need to be put in place. One of the first companies to talk about work from home is Maybank in Malaysia, that's aiming for a hybrid or a blended arrangement with a mix of in-office and remote working. And a couple of things are nudging the hybrid work model as the way forward. It's not either work from home or work in the office, but a hybrid model. And people have realized that they don't need to commute daily to work, and time is saved. That time saved during commute can be reinvested to raise productivity. And the work experiment did not disrupt, the experiment of work from home did not entirely disrupt the work culture. Essential values, expectations, and practices that guide the action of employees. That one of the positive things that's happened is that there's more trust and empowerment for the employee in getting the work done. The downside of working from home is that many are working longer hours, and there's a blurring of boundaries, which can create challenges for work-life balance. And while flexi work arrangements is not completely new, and hot desking or non-permanent workspaces is also not new, this hybrid model that we are talking about for work from home as a way forward for the future post-pandemic is something that needs to be taken into account. And as companies and employees continue to adapt to remote working, the option of making work from home permanent is something that is also being considered. And this has been, and what needs to be placed, how would work from home arrangements work relationship to succeed, while honesty and integrity among workers are key traits that employees must exhibit. And the thing is, with a hybrid setting, the value of the physical workspace becomes not very relevant. The The culture of each company is also a key determinant of whether the hybrid work from home arrangement is going to work, and also an employee's maturity and discipline as well are key factors, and also whether the company is a local or a global company. The a hybrid working model can strengthen talent retention and attraction if it is done successfully. And this is a way forward because the flexibility in work arrangement appeals to the younger generation of Gen Y and Gen Z who rarely stay with the same company for a long time, as well as the flexibility is an attraction. So if you can attract the Gen Z and Gen Y employees with the flexible working arrangement, then it's likely to be successful. And the leadership style of control is over, and trust and delegation with accountability is the preferred norm, especially for the new generation. And the COVID-19 has reshaped the business world as well when it comes to the need to upskill and reskill employees. The future work will become more self-directed, and work is loosening its ties with the physical presence. And the linear 8-hour work routine is not going to be the way of the future. And the classic office culture is also going to change, and office workers will be spread across multiple locations in co-working spaces, in cafes, and in their own homes. And work-life blending becomes a reality. The leadership is more than planning an organization. It now has to focus on guiding and coaching employees and communicating the corporate culture. Asif, how much longer do I have? Another 5 minutes? Sorry?
Yes, ma'am. You can continue for 5 more minutes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the thing is that leadership has to change. Leadership is not about planning an organization. It has to focus on guiding and coaching employees and in communicating the corporate culture. The leaders of the future will be different from the leaders of the past. So the leadership stance itself is different. The leaders of the future are motivators, mentors, and networkers who are empowering their staff to manage themselves. The challenges that they experience from, of course, as I mentioned earlier, working from home may not suit everybody, because some people feel very isolated. They feel that they cannot concentrate, higher stress levels, they have insufficient interaction with colleagues, and a lack of coaching. And the negative impacts that will depend on the various types of personalities involved. And for the HR and leaders, recognizing the personality traits of the workers is very, very important. And in my reading of the literature, I came across a few personality traits, and I want to discuss that as my concluding points. The first personality trait are time management heroes. This personality type describes those organizational talents who are not just able to organize their tasks and working hours effectively, but need to do so. Only then they're happy. So they need to get up at their usual time and don't allow anything to disrupt their normal working hours or break time, even at home. And leadership can support these kind of organizational talents by agreeing on timetables and milestones with them, and introducing fixed rituals as a structure for the working day, and also as a way of maintaining regular contact. This is for the kind of personality that belong to the group called time management heroes. Then you have the other group that's called team players. For these gifted communicators, working at home on their laptop is an ordeal. They are most productive and engaged when taking part in team sessions. For these personalities, video calls are essential and something they like to spend even on their breaks. They value online get-togethers in their leisure time too, especially virtual team dinners, when takeaways are delivered to all team members simultaneously. So team players are the second group of individuals which the management and the leadership of organizations need to recognize. The key issue is that finding the right balance. If there are too many informal digital formats, people get tired of it or become distracted as the range of online activities start to proliferate. It's important to manage all options on offer for small groups, teams, management teams, but across the organization as well. These options also play an important culture building role and should be combined with formats based on physical presence once circumstances permit. A third group are what they call the designers. The designers have a strong aesthetic and virtual sensibility. Their desks are rarely untidy, and for them, the best advice is to wear their usual work clothes even at home and to arrange their personal workspaces so they're calm, attractive, and tidy. To some extent, I fit into this group where if I'm coming on an online meeting of some sort, I cannot do it in my night dress or in my pajamas. I have to be formally dressed. Only then I can treat that session as a formal session, and a comfortable chair and some water or something are things that are essential for my productivity. And setting up online whiteboards so that all team members can work together virtually and in real time could be one way forward. And the final group of people are what we call the tightrope walkers. With flexible working arrangements, many people find it difficult to separate work and leisure time. Tightrope walkers find this especially challenging. They tend to rapidly jump back and forth between the two worlds, between leisure and work. Rituals such as morning kickoff calls or a weekly debrief on Fridays can help them. Scheduled leisure times are also advisable, whether this involves sports, singing, Spanish lessons, or some planned meal time to the family. The main thing is that for the tightrope walkers, these times are fixed in advance. The flexible working can provide the feeling of being permanently on call. The rules need to be introduced that allow performance to be monitored, but retain something like core work times and break times. And break times can also be actively agreed and scheduled into the calendar, giving them a status on par with scheduled meetings. So, in conclusion, what I want to say is that work from home is going to be the way of the future, especially not only coming out of the pandemic, but also dealing with entrance into the workforce who are mainly likely to come from Gen Y and Gen Z, who prefer flexible work arrangements that suits their lifestyle, and they like to work in. They don't like the 8:30 to 5:30 or 9 to 6 kind of work environment, and they will not last that kind of work environment. So, so as this is the work for, I know many of the participants in this conference are from HR and HR managers. You need to take into account what you need to do as a result in order to ensure that work from home does not lead to loss of productivity. And when you do not have a physical workplace structure to hold an organization together, the only thing that holds an organization together is the organizational culture. And this has to be really worked on and developed so that people have to continue to, even though they're working from home, they continue to have a sense of belonging to the organization. Because a lot of us, Prof. Wu will agree with me, when we were working in the faculty, what used to happen was our identity was going to the faculty, going to the coffee room, going to the lecture theatre. So there was a physical connectivity there, that when we were in the faculty, we were members of the faculty belonged to us, we belonged to the faculty. So that organizational structure was both virtual, it was very physical in the sense of the building. But what has happened is in the future, that's not going to be the case. And with that, I want to conclude with leaving you with some food for thought for your conference. And I want to wish all of you a very successful and fruitful conference. And I look forward to the outcome of this conference. Asif, I know you have promised many milestones and that you're going to achieve with this conference and many outputs for this conference. So congratulations to Dr. Asif and Professor Asif for his hard work in putting this conference together. It's not easy, and all the best. And I wish you all a very, very interesting session for the next 2 days. And thank you very much for listening to me for the last 15, 20 minutes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the wonderful keynote, and definitely a lot of points to ponder on the work from home way forward. And indeed, we do look forward from a good outcome from this conference, and definitely will have it. Now, all the way from Uzbekistan, we would move on to India. So we have our special address by Associate Professor Dr. B. Aishwarya from Loyola Institute of Business Administration. So Dr. Aishwarya is an Associate Professor in Human Resources and is specialized in Human Resources Development and Organizational Behavior. She is the Associate Dean for the Student and Alumni Relations at LIBA. She has over 20 years of teaching, research, and administrative experience with some of the leading management institutions in India. She has published more than 50 research papers in national and international referred journals. She has also organized many conferences, seminars, workshops, and faculty development programs. Her areas of interest includes human resources, organization behavior, and training and development. She has also undertaken a few large funded research projects, including those funded by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. With no further delay, I can go on reading her credential for even a very longer time, but with no further delay, I would like to request Professor Dr. Aishwarya to kindly give her special address. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Respected conference convener, co-speakers, and participants, a very good afternoon to you. And I'm very happy to be your part of your university's esteemed conference. And I thank you for the warm welcome and a pleasant introduction. Namaste from India to all the participants and the speakers. The theme of the conference is very topical, and it's a very quite interesting one where all of us have got something to share because all of us have experienced this pandemic. So let me start off this way. Am I audible, sir? Is it clear?
Yes, you are audible.
So let me start off this way. Mrs. Malini, she gets up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, and within 20 minutes, the cooker gives out the whistle in the kitchen. By 7:30 a.m., hot dosas and white chutney for breakfast is ready on the dining table. Rice and vegetable curry for lunch is packed in the lunch boxes. In between this, she hurries into the bedroom to wake up her son and husband, who is still in the bed with steaming hot coffee. By 8:30 a.m., our son Keshav is transformed into a neatly dressed boy ready for school, rushing out to chat with his friends in the school van. Husband Ram is already in his office calls, as he was having his breakfast and started off his day's work even before he leaves to work. Mrs. Malini locks up the house, had to drive down in a two-wheeler, negotiating the traffic to reach her office before 9 a.m. The list of duties to be attended to in the office, meeting with people, challenges, discussions, reporting, interacting with colleagues, interacting with the public, customers, everything closes by 5 p.m. She rushes back home to complete the task that awaits her at home. Evening tea, study time, night dinner, and a chat over the days happening, good and the bad. And it continues day after day. It was work and home with proper social distancing. This is a scenario in any typical Indian working couple household, including me, especially in cities up to maybe until till March 2019. And then later what happened, all of us know. And then the schools were declared closure, offices closed, colleges closed, higher educational institutions, transport closed, theaters, shops, temples, parks, everything closed. And people had to lock themselves up in their houses. This is something very new initially, and we were just exploring what's happening. Though there was a deep down fear in the beginning, the family was trying to accommodate like a vacation. The children were very happy. Mother was happy cooking for the family with additional one more dish for each meal. The father was actually glued with a remote, looking at the TV for the updates of Corona across the world. But for how long inside the house and don't get to see even our neighbors? Then what happened? June came, schools reopened, but virtually. Colleges reopened, but virtually. Offices started off work from home long time. Everyone at home went into isolation with their laptops, other gadgets, and each one in the corner of the house or a room. Official work started from home. Inside the house, but rooms were locked. Meetings happened over the Zoom. Father says, shh, don't make noise. I'm in a presentation. The mother says, don't talk, I'm in a call. The teacher calls out to the student, switch on your video. But it's home, it's regular course of work and activities just goes on as usual. So like regular dusting, mopping, cleaning. In fact, maids were also not invited because of social distancing. However, the human tendency for at home, right? You have to stretch in the bed while you are working on a laptop. Children has to have snacks while the classes are going on. The mother switched off the video when she is not made up with her attire for the meeting. All this is new. We have just adapted for work from home. There wasn't any divide between the work and the personal life. It has come very closer and closer with no social distancing. It looks like I'm at home, but can I put off my work? No, it's my working hours. I have to perform. Since I work from home, I ask for a leave and my employer says you are already at home. Because I don't have to take the time of traveling, I log in 1 hour before time for work. But when I claim for my travel allowance, my employer says, you did not travel. With all this in a very lighter mode, there are some very serious issues associated with this kind of a work from home arrangement. Let's take one by one. Can I share a screen, sir?
Yes, Prof, you can. You're given that. Yeah, you can share.
Yeah. Is my screen shared? Yeah. So this was the kind of scenario I was trying to depict before 2019 and later what happened. And this is how after 2019 it started. So now we will go to see the kind of legal issues that is being associated with work from home arrangement. This is very crucial. The legal issues and challenges from the employer's side. When it comes to working hours, how do we actually count for it? How do we calculate the overtime for compensation? And there is always a fear of breach of confidentiality of the information from the employee's side also. Certain questions arise. How do we calculate the leave? How do we interpret the different allowances? Like as I told you, the transport allowance, the food allowance, the night working allowance, the hardship allowance, and many more. But when he's all the time at home, how do we manage with all the kind of compensation and the allowances? Here too, there is an advantage for the employer. From his perspective, if you take, there is no occupancy of the office space, there is no maintenance, there is no electricity charges. All this could be minimized also. The employer can go for hiring the best of candidate across the world. So he can sit in one corner of the world and he can still employ someone from the other part of the globe. Several research studies and articles show, but there is a high retention rate. Retention rate has gone up very drastically, and there is low absenteeism because of this work from home. The employee also doesn't mind working for longer hours, for the travel time is also counted into the output and productivity. The employee too enjoys, to a certain extent, this flexible work schedule, as there is no commute, no expenses associated with it, no petrol, diesel, driver, car, public, transport, tension, irritation, risk associated with this traffic and all this pollution, especially, sir, in Chennai city in India. So it's very, very stressful if one doesn't enjoy this kind of a travel. So let's see from, this is about the legal aspects. If you take another side of it, maybe the behavioral perspective, the employer feels that there is no office politics, no need to deal with petty politics, and no need to deal with the work-life balance issue of the employees. And he says that you're already at home. Maybe it's good for a short period of time, but we don't know. We have to keep our fingers crossed. How long does it work for? The challenging portion here is the employer feels the employees have completely lost on their team building, attitudinal building, team spirit. Since people are working in silos, switching off the screens and out of sight takes the person out of the mind also. So there is a lot of vacuum that is created in the employee engagement. The employee is all the time engaged with either office work, but is he happy with the sense of achievement and fulfillment? That employee engagement, which is very popular in HR, is a big question mark. So is the employer also in a position to train the employees and keep them motivated, skill enhancement, development? All this is a question of doubt when employees are at work from home. Now, from the employee side also, see, for example, the happiness and the proud moment of pride, when he or she is appreciated or recognized for the work achievement, say congratulations and a handshake or a tap on the shoulder in front of the other colleagues can never be matched, whatever, however virtual it is. This is lost for an employee. What we miss is what is the outcome of the work from home. I hope many of you might agree with me. Just stepping into the colleague's office or a cubicle for sharing of a snack, clarifying a doubt, sharing an incident, some news, having a good and a hearty laugh instantly can never happen when you have to pick up your phone and dial a number for all these things. Definitely, I don't think it is possible. So what we miss is the outcome of the work from home. This lack of socializing with people is going to have its own impact on the behavior and attitude of not only the adults, but also to a larger extent on the children and adolescents. Now, fatigue is taking various forms like the Zoom fatigue, the screen fatigue, and it is taking different shapes because of work from home. A new norm of work ethics is being followed, though it looks like work-life balance with too many distractions at home, work does not get completed. The line between the work and life is getting blurred, and at one point of time, it disappears. So we land up working, and we drop down working, suffering from a kind of a double burden syndrome. So I think it is the outcome of work from home. So on the other hand, the employer also has the challenge of keeping the employee motivated, knowing the situation because of the technology hiccups. In fact, Wi-Fi, modem, dongle, cables, and these were all the booming companies during the COVID times. So now what to do? The employers from the management side or from the employee side, all that we can do or all that they can do is to have to specify the work standards for attendance, for work completion, employee availability, even virtually, productivity measures which has to be quantifiable. What's the number of calls, the number of converts, how many customers, all this should have to be in quantifiable terms, because the physical presence of an employee in the office is not going to be the norm. The time tracking system or project management softwares could be administered to maintain a very high security against the pilferage of very confidential information. Equipment and technical supply, policy for strong policy for compensation and benefits. Even the dress code during the virtual work must be the new normal policies. So what should the employee do? Employee side, prioritize your work and stay well organized. Managing the time is the toughest task. and taking regular breaks. You have to separate your home or workspace at home, but nothing else to do, but just have to adapt. So we can't do away with this condition because it is not under our control, but we can organize our activities which is under our control in this new normal. Therefore, let's be prepared for the worst, but still we hope for the best. Congratulations and for the conference team, and wish you all the best. Thank you for the very patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor B. Aishwarya from Loyola in India for
Yes,
your insightful information and the special address. Okay, thank you so much. Now, and this part of the session, we move on to the paper presenters. In this session, we're going to have in total 8 paper presentations from the field of the track of social and psychology and finance. So each of the presenters can share their own screen to share your PowerPoint. And of course, you will be getting 10 minutes time to make your presentation. Please keep a watch on that one. And then followed up by a 5 minutes brief question and answer session from our panelists that we have today, are Professor Sudesh and Professor Dr. and Dr. Media as well. Both of them are our panelists today for the question and answer session. Okay, now all the way from India, we move on to Namibia. Our first presenter today is from Namibia, working from home in the new norm, prospects and challenges from hospitality management students' perspective, by Gerald Cloet and Dr. Jaram and Lavu, co-authored by Professor Dr. Sudesh. Over to you, Mr. Gerald. You can start sharing your screen, and all the best. You have to unmute, Mr. Gerald.
Good morning, Prof. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, but we're not seeing the screen yet. I think you have to double click on your updated revised Icwfh, which come up. You're just seeing your screen of the laptop where you have the files and folders. So the PPT has not yet come up on the screen.
Can you see that, Prof?
Not yet, Mr. Gerald. You can try that once more. Yeah, now it's coming up. Okay.
You have it,
Just
Prof.
enlarge the screen and please start. Huh? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Is that fine, Prof?
Yes, it is fine. Please, yeah, go ahead. It's fine. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. All protocol observed. Good morning, professors. Good morning, associate professors. Good morning, doctors. Good morning, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gerald, and I'm dealing with a paper this morning, Working from Home in the New Norm, Prospects and Challenges from Hospitality Management Students' Perspective. I'm from Namibia, as was mentioned before, and the co-authors here in particular is Dr. Joram Ndlovu and Professor Dr. Sudesh Prabhakaran. Now, the tendency of working from a home environment is swiftly on the increase in today's digital epoch, where infinite access to information and connection availability is basically universal. So this tendency is partly due to COVID-19, which caused a deep contraction in the global economy, with tourism being the most affected. Due to the velocity of transmission, governments globally decided to introduce restrictions to curb the dispersion of this virus in particular. Now, what happened was lockdowns, travel restrictions, and confinements rules were instituted to ensure the safety of all nationals in particular. Borders were closed, and this had a devastating effect basically on the sustainable of tourism and hospitality businesses in particular. Employees and students eventually had to work from home, and the closure of schools and universities took place. So what happened now was classes was first conducted face-to-face, and this has now been changed to online, and students needed to do their class-assigned tasks, their projects, and their homework at home. Now, a bit of the background in particular, according to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, statistics worldwide shows that arrivals, in particular tourism, has dropped with 74%, which contrasted to the numbers in 2019. It is anticipated that pre-COVID levels will only be reached by 2024. According to Singh and Wang, staff cost represented 30 to 35% of the operating expenses in hotels. Hotel occupancies ran well below 50%, and this caused a major challenge for some of the hotel owners and businesses in particular. This also affected Namibia in particular. Now, the aim of my research and the paper in particular was to investigate the prospects and the challenges of working from home in the new norm, with particular focus on the perspectives of third-year hospitality management students. What we've done is we've actually looked at the literature review, and quite a number of interesting aspects came forth. Quite a number of the authors actually focused on the performance of students at home. It looked at isolation. It looked at work-life balance. But one thing in particular that came very limited forth was the aspect of culture. Culture was not coming strong forth, and this gave birth to this paper in particular. Now, the research methodology and approach that was actually followed here in particular was a qualitative approach, which was used, and a pilot study was also done with the students, lecturers, and industry stakeholders. What we've done is we've done a telephonic appointments, and these were scheduled a day in advance, and students obviously were reminded about anonymous and so on. 10 hospitality management students in their third year were interviewed, and we utilized a semi-structured interview guide. 2 of these students were orally interviewed. This was done over the phone, and it was recorded. 8 of the students were personally interviewed, and that was done face-to-face. And what we've done is we had to adhere to COVID-19 social distancing regulations And this was audio recorded. Our research objectives in this particular case was to discuss the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 at NUST. We had to examine the opinions of academics and students regarding family values. We also looked at analyzing the impact of COVID-19 on the performance of students and determined the role of face-to-face communication in disrupting social aspects. Questions that we focused on was, what is the socio-economic impact? We looked at the opinions of academic and students regarding family values. We looked at the impact of COVID-19 on the performance of students, and then how can face-to-face communication disrupt social relationships. The summary of the findings was as follows. In terms of demographics, 100% response rate was achieved, whilst all respondents were females, whilst most of them, 90%, in the age bracket of between 20 and 25 years of age. 10% was in the bracket 36 and above. This is an indication basically that the majority of the respondents were still quite young and about to meet the realities of life. 90% of the students were not married, and 10% were married with 2 children in total. Now, students' understanding of work from home in the new norm. What does this mean to the students? The question pertaining to new norm was received in a number of positive responses. It was a new way of adapting. Some of the respondents mentioned that it was a new way of adapting to everyday doing of work and home life. Others mentioned it was a way of working from home online, whilst others mentioned that it was a new way of teaching, which indicated online and face-to-face, and then eventually the assessments that go along with it. Some of the respondents brought the aspect forth that said that the new norm has actually made them spend more money. This was expensive, as they had to spend more money on electronics, on Wi-Fi, and related devices in particular. Now, what actually happened was the new norm has changed the way we did things, not just locally, but also in the entire world. And we had to focus on health protocols, which required, number 1, sanitizing of hands, number 2, wearing of masks, and then number 3, social distancing we had to adhere to. Now, some of the experiences of students under the new norm was the aspect of government that initiated a strategy of lockdown to reduce the contagion through breaking all forms of social and economic contact. Students felt that the pandemic disrupted their lifestyle. There was too much boredom, and in some cases, they just felt that they were on their own and they could not focus compared to the classroom scenario in particular. Some students watched most of the time television, watched their favorite movies. Some were surfing the web, and others were communicating to their friends online. Some of the students were unfortunate in particular, and one of the reasons was the fact that they had no access to data, access to technology, access to internet, and it wasn't easy for them. So that actually resulted in boredom. Others decided not to be bored at all and decided to take a walk to the mini market around the corner, and others decided to play games on their phones in particular. Now, the national lockdown resulted in restriction and the closure of non-essential businesses. As a result, the demand for necessities increased, and those ready cash at hand started hoarding foodstuffs. considering that people had to stay at home, eating habits has changed, behavior has changed, dress codes has changed, habits has changed, and in particular, some learners ended up becoming obese due to eating, sleeping, eating all the time. Some of the students, when they were asked if they were scared, they mentioned yes, they were scared, and others have actually mentioned that they don't know what the future actually holds. Some of the restrictions that was put in place, they could not move around, and they were eagerly awaiting for normalization to come into place again. Some of them said, you don't really know what is going to happen, because if you wake up and the next morning, somebody else in your family might have been passed away. Some of the concerns parents had in particular as family members was the fact that they could actually spend more time with spouses. They could actually focus on house chores, who could do what in particular. Some people could actually revive their love lives, and so on in particular. It is worse with people that is actually quite old in particular, as they could easily get infected, especially some had high blood pressure, sugar, diabetes, and so on, and they could easily fall away. Some people had stress at home, and some of the students actually mentioned, which was very interesting, is the fact that they now understand why their mothers have stress and why their fathers are so strict, and so on in particular. To quickly look at the conceptual framework, something that came up in particular was the aspect of culture which gave birth to this paper. When it comes to beliefs, church, funerals, and so on, normally funerals took 14 days from the stage that somebody died until the person needs to be buried. However, these days, with COVID in the area, it has now taken 2 days, and government take completely charge of funerals. The family actually does nothing, and they could not even view the body, and this has changed the value and has changed the culture of quite a number of families in particular. Studies where students have now taken 2 hours to do studies at home, they now sit for the whole day in front of their laptops doing studies in particular. The contribution of this paper in particular was it contributed to the current discourse of working from home. It exposes the impact of culture and value on the performance of students. It identified the harrowing effect of COVID on the people's livelihood and well-being. Now, some recommendations in particular, it development of partnerships with network providers is of utmost importance to ensure data is available to students. Inculcate a culture of working independently for students is of utmost importance. Provide counseling for students and remedial classes to develop a synergy between academic activities and household chores, and then eventually to develop family ties and values in students so that they can increase their ability to work from home in particular. Now, in conclusion, the study actually showed that there was an increase in work performance. There was flexibility in working from home. Although students were actually, they had a situation where they had to focus on overcrowdedness and overcrowded spaces at home, they eventually could perform. They were also quite stressed at particular stages, and some of the challenges requires that students need to focus on self-organization and independent thinking. Other challenges included food shortages, limited resources due to poor access in technology, and insufficient financial resources in particular. And there was also a culture shock for learners especially when it comes to burials, beliefs, churches, where 450 people went to church previously. These days, only 10 people had to sit in church, and that also changed beliefs in particular here and so on. So the study actually focuses and concludes that new mechanisms need to be developed to ease working from home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gerald, for the presentation. May I kindly request panelists today, Dr. Media, for any clarifications and questions on his presentation, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gerald. But before going through your significant article, let me just welcome all the presenter and participants to the International E-Conference on Working from Home. And let's go back to Mr. Gerald's paper. Okay, Mr. Gerald, very interesting topic you selected. Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor, I can hear you very well.
Okay, great. I don't want to ask any question just because I really like the subject. You are going to have further study about this topic in future.
Doctor, I apologize. I cannot hear you. There's a bit of background noises right now. Can you ask your question again?
Yeah, sure. As I said, very interesting topic. Are you going to have another, study about this topic in future? Maybe this time about the teachers or academic staff perspectives regarding work from home.
Doctor, thank you very much for that. In particular, when I went through the literature reviews and so on, I actually realized that a number of other aspects came through. And I definitely would like to pursue further studies in the aspects of working from home, especially in the new norm. Like I mentioned earlier on, there were some other aspects that gave birth also to this study in particular, especially when it comes to the aspect of culture, where I mentioned that certain people change their beliefs, especially, I'm not quite sure if you also have quite a number of people that goes to church in Malaysia and so on. Here in particular, from 400 people up to 4,000 people that goes to church on a Sunday. But with COVID, it has changed immediately from 400 people to 10 people. And that has actually ensured that people started looking at church sessions on laptops and at home over the TV. Now, COVID has also changed aspects whereby you drive from home to the shops and so on. And what has actually happened is you need to drive these days so fast because of curfew, so that you need to go back again home because the police are actually looking at the areas excuse me, and they are patrolling and so on and so forth. It also focuses on foods, the way people are eating food. Previously, being in hospitality, people previously had 3 meals, a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. But right now, students are constantly nibbling when they are in front of the laptop and chewing and chewing and chewing. And that's why some of them became obese and so on. However, this actually gave us some aspects and indications that we definitely have to continue with this study of working from home and bring some other factors across, and it makes it actually quite interesting. And I want to actually take this opportunity to thank Professor Icwfh once again for such an interesting study. It actually opened up some other aspects, and we definitely want to proceed in doing further studies in working from home, especially with the new norms. Thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Joel, because this time is students' perspective, maybe next time can be academic perspective about their teaching style and teaching activity, the challenges and opportunity. Okay, thank you again, Mr.
Absolutely.
Joel.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doctor. We will definitely do that and focus on that. And I really appreciate it once again for this opportunity to be able to present the study to the wide and the global world at large and the Asian community. Thank you once again. It is much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Dr. Media. Thank you very much, Mr. Gerald. Okay, now all the way from Namibia, we move on to Bangladesh, our next presenter. So we move across the globe. So the next presenter is going to talk about English learning outcome from teaching learning from home, a case study on Kumilla district, Bangladesh, by Muhammad Yunus Mia Bhuiya, and the paper is co-authored by Muhammad Shafiqul Alam Hilal, Iqbal Ahmed, Mr. Jahabar Hamid, and Prof. Dr. Icwfh are the co-authors. Over to you, Muhammad Yunus. I'll kindly request to keep a track on the 10 minutes presentation time scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Honorable Chairperson, keynote speakers, respectable teachers of Binary University, distinguished global guests, and honorable participants. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. My name is Muhammad Yunus Mia Bhuiya. Now I am presenting my paper. The title of the paper is English Learning Outcome from Teaching Learning from Home, a case study on Kumilla district, Bangladesh. This paper is co-authored by Muhammad Shafiqul Alam Hilal, Iqbal Ahmed, Professor Dr. Icwfh, and Jahabar Hamid. Introduction. We all know that English is the most influential language in the world. It is the gateway of science and technology, trade and commerce, international tourism, higher education, etc. In Bangladesh, English is taught compulsorily from class 1 to class 12. Despite this, the achievement of English is not satisfactory. The education sector is the most affected sector due to pandemics, as all levels of education sector of Bangladesh have been closed since March 17, 2020. This paper attempts to show whether online teaching brings forth the actual demand of the students or not. It also reveals the barriers of English learning and learning outcome on the online platform. Research objectives: to identify the challenges of teaching English as a subject through online platform, to study the factors for academic performance of English as a subject. Research questions: what are the challenges of teaching English as a subject through online platform? What are the factors for academic performance of English as a subject? Literature review. Some of the articles related to my paper and their main findings are given here. According to Michael Ulumbanger 2020, online education, despite being attractive, poses a great threat to ensure education benefits. Because of technical issues, the internet, like internet coverage or internet bandwidth, irregular power supply, the cost of internet, and the computer uses, online education is hampered. As stated by Ms. Nujhat Fatima 2020, one of the positive impacts of education is the students' study schedule flexibility. Students need to travel and thus they can save time and money. But challenges are not a few. The main challenges is the adaptability of an online class to the students. According to Shara Famularshi 2020, students experience, learners have both positive and negative attitude towards regarding online classes. Some students opined that online learning is user-friendly tool by which they are encouraged to interact with their peers and audience and their teachers. Research hypothesis. There are 5 hypotheses. They are: They are teacher skill, online teaching, curriculum, family background, student psychology. This paper tried to show whether these factors, these independent variables have relationship with English learning outcomes, that is the dependable variable. Research methodology. Quantitative method has been used in the study. Data were collected from 50 respondents. Questionnaires were sent through a link to respondents via email, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Secondary data have been drawn out from various online sources, such as Education Board website, UNICEF, some articles and reports, and research journals from home and abroad. The study's sample size was set at 50. The convenience method is used in sampling. Descriptive statistics. Student psychology. The table shows the mean value for each item lying within a range of 4.28 to 4.64, showing the agreed to strongly agreed response of the sample data and the lower standard deviation and variance, further confirming the answer. Student psychology contains the highest mean statistics compared to the variables. So this variable is the most important for the English learning development of students online. Reliability analysis. In the above table, the values of reliability tests show acceptable results with all items included. The reliability of all the variables is greater than the cutoff value, that is 0.70, which was good according to Santos 1999. Overall, Cronbach's alpha of the questionnaire was 0.887. This is significant as it is greater than the cutoff value, which is 0.7. Exploratory factor analysis, KMO and Bartlett test. According to McCollum 1999, an average value above 0.6 is acceptable for a sample size of less than 100. In this paper, the sample size is 50 and the KMO and Bartlett test result is 0.711. So the resultant value is above 0.6, which is acceptable. Exploratory factor analysis, factor loadings from principal axis factor analysis with Varimax rotation for a 6-factor solution for English learning outcome questions, respondent number 50. From this table, after rotation, the first factor accounted for 31.98%, second one is 10.14%, third one is 7.125%, fourth is 4.375%, fifth is 3.433%, and the sixth one is 2.922%. This table displays the item and factors loadings for the rotated factors, and which is less than 0.40 omitted to improve clarity. Conformity factor analysis. This analysis is done only to examine the variability among observed variables, exert variability from items and load them into a common factor. As the study entails exploratory nature, factor analysis was done to identify the essential construct among the variables. Chi-square test. Among the 5 hypotheses, within 16 degrees of freedom, the chi-square value of hypothesis number 3, that is, there is a relationship between curriculum and English learning outcome, is 15.911, and the p-value is 0.459. The p-value is more than 0.05. As a result, the null hypothesis is accepted, indicating that this variable has no relationship with teaching learning outcome online. Conclusion. This paper tries to find out whether online classes learning is fruitful or not. By doing a mean statistics test, it is found that the respondents highly supported that the students are being depressed psychologically for staying at home, so they don't want to learn. Besides, poor or no network hampers online teaching learning. That's why they don't find interest in online classes. Teachers' expertise in online teaching is also responsible for English learning outcomes. Many teachers fail to attract students' interest in online teaching. By performing the Icwfh test, it's found that teacher skill, online teaching, family background, and student psychology are associated with English learning outcomes, whereas curriculum has a negligible association with the online English learning system. Paternal poverty is a great factor for online platform. Poor and illiterate parents fail to understand the importance of English language, so they are unaware of the children's learning English. In addition, students are not interested in online learning. Future scope. This paper studied only 50 respondents from Kumilla district, Bangladesh. The respondents were 50 EFL teachers from non-government colleges. Larger area and more respondents to determine the effectiveness of English learning outcomes through an online platform can be studied for the future work. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. This is.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Yunus, for the presentation. Dear Desh, Dr. Media, any clarification, please, from both of your end? Dr. Desh, are you there?
Yes, Prab. Thank you, Mr. Yunus.
Welcome.
Okay.
Maybe Dr. Media, if you have any clarification.
I think we have some glitching in the net. Okay, Mr. Yunus, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your presentation and very interesting conceptual framework. Okay, among those 5 variables, independent variables that I have seen in your conceptual framework, which one has the most significant impact on your DV?
Student psychology.
Student psychology.
Right.
Okay.
Because of lockdown.
Even you can write one article about that part.
Right. You know it, sir. You know it, ma'am.
Yeah. You can relate it with how student psychology impact on the outcome of learning in pandemic scenario. Very
Actually,
great.
During this pandemic situation, students are psychologically depressed. Staying at home, they feel bored. That's why they don't find any way to refresh themselves, so they don't want to learn. Especially during this pandemics, when the teachers are teaching on online, especially English subject, the students, as they are psychologically depressed, and you know that the network system and other challenges they are facing staying at home, for all these, they cannot do what they should do. And that's why their English learning outcome is not as much as they should do, they could do if it were a face-to-face classes.
Yes, Mr. Ernest. Do you have any recommendation to solve this problem?
Suggestion is that we have another publication. There we use hybrid education or other types of education, how these problems can be solved. So in this way, if there could be a possibility, maybe in future we may get the facilities that within a week, if the students come in a smaller number of students come face to face within maybe 2 days per week, then they can cover what they are lacking due to online classes.
Yeah, as you said, hybrid education. Yeah, right. Very great. Thank you again.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Yunus, and thank you very much, Dr. Media. Okay. Now we go to our third paper presenter. Now moving from Bangladesh, we come here to Malaysia at the moment. A conceptual paper on psychological impact of working from home on university lecturers in Malaysia by Abe Elizabeth Tosin and Mary Jane Adobe, together with co-authored by Ms. Vasogi and Associate Professor Dr. Nadia Farhan. Over to you, Abe Elizabeth Tosin. You can start sharing your screen, please. Thank you. And please note that you'll have 10 minutes for the presentation.
Sorry. Trying to share.
Are you able to hear me, Elizabeth?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes, yes. Okay. You can start sharing the screen, please.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see. It's so shaky. Sorry, I don't know what's happening. I'm so sorry.
It's coming up.
Oh. Can you see it?
Not yet. We can see that you're sharing the screen. It's gone back. Can you try once again? Elizabeth? Are you able to hear me, Elizabeth? Elizabeth Tosin, are you able to hear me? Mary Jane, are you there? Are you able to hear me, Mary Jane? I think there is some network issue with Elizabeth and Mary Jane. Okay. Dr. Media, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You can
At
go
least
to the
I'm
next
audible.
slide.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Oh.
Yes, so do you want to share the slide or you want to come back later so I can carry on with the others at the moment, please?
I can share the slide, but Elizabeth is meant to talk.
Yeah, definitely. You can
I'm not
share
feeling
it.
strong.
If Elizabeth is able to hear me. I don't think Elizabeth is currently here. Okay, Mary Jane, please communicate with Elizabeth to come back. She is not connected here at the moment. Meanwhile, I go to the next presenter. I'll come back to you soon after that. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay, dear participants, our next paper presenter is from Bangladesh. The paper presenter is talking about the prospects and challenges of working from home in the new norm. Case of Diri, Chittagong, Bangladesh, by Syed Irfanul Haq co-authored by Muhammad Ali Asgar, Mesbaul Alam, and Professor Joseph Adaikalam. Over to you, Syed Fanul Haq. You can start sharing your screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Asif. In this international e-conference on work from home, challenge and prospect Icwfh 2021, organized by Binary University of Management and Entrepreneurship, Malaysia, on this very new norm of COVID. It is a great pleasure for us to present this paper. Our paper title is The Prospect and Challenge of Working from Home in the New Norm, Case of Diri Chittagong, Bangladesh. Our title track is Social and Psychology. And the co-authors are Muhammad Ali Asgar, Mesbaul Alam Bhuiya, and Tanshi Dato, Professor Joseph Adia Kalam. Now, background of the Diri. Darul Irfan Research Institute Diri is a multilateral educational and research institute dedicated to gaining a comprehensive understanding of Islam through a multidisciplinary approach with a special concentration on Sufism, Tasawwuf. Diri engages in a variety of activities to provide transformative space for Sufi scholars and beginners, including but not limited to academic classes, lectures, conferences, seminars, group discussions, study circles, publications of research journals, online certificate courses, translating Sufi literatures, Tasawwuf dialogues, invited talks, and Sufi retreat, meditation, yoga, and physical fitness classes. Diri works with universities, colleges, schools, madrasas, charities, shrines, interfaith groups, and world Sufi communities to promote its vision and mission of love, compassion, morality, and universal humanity both locally and internationally. Introduction. The current new norm situation has altered the conventional workplace. Most government and commercial sectors executives in most nations across the world are now forced to run their activities via virtual means from their own homes. Working from home refers to the concept of managing office activities from one's own house using various online tools. The working from home concept is not new, but it has gained global exposure as a result of the fatal scenario caused by the novel coronavirus. There are pros and cons to running an office from a remote location. In this scenario, the officials are confronted with a slew of issues as they adjust to their new employment. New workplaces are not always equipped with all the amenities found in the conventional offices because of being their own abode. Background of the research. Work from home is always challenged, especially for officials who are not used to working from their own homes. Despite a bounty of concerns about the utility of working from home, in the time of pandemic, when a health issue is a primary consideration and keeping a social distance is necessary, there is no other option but to relocate official employment to one's own residence. Working from home has a lot of drawbacks, yet the possibility of doing so cannot be ruled out. The aim of the research is to find out the prospect and challenge of working from home that has been faced by the employee of Diri during the pandemic time. The quantitative study inquires how employee and stakeholders experience working from home in the aspect of work-life balance, health issue, productivity, and socio and psychological impact on their life and work. In literature review, is organized as the shown in the screen, the author, brief content, journal name, and main findings. Literature review, we are showing some. Peter J. Bartuki, 2001, Sufi movement in Bangladesh, Usul Sabha, the seven principles. Badruddin et al., 2020, psychological and socio-economic crisis in Bangladesh during COVID-19. Rahman et al., 2021, working from home during COVID-19. Next. Research methodology. The study was carried out using the quantitative research method based on the research framework stated in the next slide. A questionnaire was developed using Google Form. The questionnaire was structured on a 5-point Likert scale that ranges from 1 strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree. Link to the questionnaire was forwarded to DD staff, stakeholders, and participants via WhatsApp, as well as posted in the relevant DD group. Sample size of 100 respondents for the research. Participants are employee of DD. Please, next slide. Here we show the research design, the independent variable and the dependent variable. Work-life balance, productivity, health issues, and social and psychological are the independent variable which affect the dependent variable work from home, which we are presenting through this study. Next, please. The research objective of this study is to study the impact of working from home on work-life balance, to analyze the impact of working from home on productivity, to investigate the impact of working from home on health issues, to evaluate the impact of working from home on socio and psychological issues. Next. The research questions are organized in 4 phases. What is the impact of number 1, working from home on work-life balance? Number 2, working from home on productivity. Number 3, working from home on health issue. Number 4, working from home on social and psychological issues. Next. The kind of activities that is offered during this COVID period are mentioned here: organizing international conferences, invited talks, Sufi and religious counselings, telemedicine service, organizing online scholarship exam program, organizing Medha Bikash social awareness program, facilitating blood donation program through Facebook and Messenger group, monitoring Shyamdadiya self-reliance program, providing technical support to technical institute and outsourcing training, organizing and providing support to TD Madrasa Board initiative, and encouraging, motivating, and monitoring Harval Village initiative, and providing research-based short courses and e-publications. Next, please. The summary of the findings are internal consistency has been examined using Kornbeck alpha method, which is used to check the reliability of the questionnaire statement. Kornbeck alpha coefficient is 0.72, which is significant according to our study. Correlations between variables have been measured using the Pearson product method moment correlation coefficient. We have been able to discover that the variables have a fairly positive correlations. We have used a 5-point Likert scale to evaluate the respondent response. Analyzing the Likert scales date, we have got the agree scale is sufficiently 66.05%. The neutral scale is 14.53%, and the disagree scale is 18.97%. The study shows that working from home has more promising for DD, although DD faces greater difficulties in implementing work from home trends. DD employee stakeholders, participants, have gradually become accustomed to it. Please next. Contribution of this study, employees, stakeholders, and participants at DIRI have overcome challenges while working from home, observing religious rituals, as well as the Usul Sabah, the 7 principles developed by Gausul Azam Hazrat Maulana Shah Sufi Sayyid Ahmadullah Maizbandari. In the case of DIRI, work from home has drawn a great opportunity to connect with researchers from the universities, colleges, madrasas, and schools both at home and abroad. DIRI has been able to organize programs for students, religious council, and Sufi counseling for general public using the Zoom platform and social media. The recommendation of this study, firstly, DIRI needs to increase monitoring and encourage participants at the field level to participate in online activities so that they can comprehend the benefit of work from home and overcome their phobia of using internet and social media. Secondly, another major challenge for DIRI is the network weak signal in the country's rural areas. In this instance, the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology should act quickly to establish a well-structured network and expand broadband access throughout the communities of the villages. Finally, obstacles to applying the work from home paradigm is teens' misuse of social media. The misuse of social media can make it difficult to appreciate the benefit of working from home. Individuals and institutions should inspire teens with the proper use of social media and other online tools so that the notion of working from home can quickly spread among teenagers throughout the country. Next. In conclusion, during the pandemic, DIRI's efforts in Zoom and on social media platform were applauded by both the educated and the common people. DIRI has also conducted training sessions for its staffs and participants in order to maximize the benefit of work from home and strengthen technical support. Work from home has benefited DIRI greatly in terms of reducing staff travel time and cost expenditures, as well as maintaining productivity and work-life balance. Thank you for hearing our presentation. Now I am available for the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Syed Irfan al-Haq, for the presentation. May I kindly request Professor Dr. Shudesh, if you have any clarification, please, Prof.
Hi there. Very good, what do you call that, afternoon to all of you. And thank you for your presentation. Looking at a presentation, it's quite a good presentation, but just want to find out, you have taken 100 people as your, what do you call that, respondents. So do you think this number of respondents is enough to actually conclude of your study?
We have seen some studies, and the participant and worker of our DIRI. So we thought that 50 to 100 participants for this study will be a good study. And so we focused on 100 participants.
So what is the population of DIRI?
We are a Sufi-based organization, so we are now not. It is not that much popular to working on online, but we are gaining momentum and convincing our community to actively participate in our classes, activities, and contribute their knowledge. And now we are regularly we can have participations and contributions from 100 plus, but we are focusing on gaining more momentum.
Okay, so how I mean, when you say challenge, what is the major challenge that you actually face?
that the community, they are much more accustomed to the face-to-face activities of Sufi rituals and Sufi activities. So they don't like, and they are not cooperating that much to come to this platform. And we are having to work hard to convince them to come to this online platform. And this, we think that it is a great opportunity, as we have diverse community in different parts of the country. Our schooling through this online platform, we think, as we have students or participants or followers in different parts of the country and across the globe. So it is very much easy for DIRI and our center to promote the education on online.
Okay.
Otherwise, everyone has to travel and expense much more. So it is our very favorable for our side, convince and accommodate our community and participant and worker to come to this online platform of DIRI.
So can I what do you call conclude that saying that it is very much better for DIRI as a what do you call that organization to
Yes,
actually recruit more people from outside your country itself?
we are providing gadgets like Android phone and
Okay.
training them how to use like Zoom
Mhm.
platform and WhatsApp groups to come to this platform and use more this kind of tools and techniques to be connected and to take knowledge and to contribute their experiences and their whatever they are doing according to the classes to
Okay.
report back.
Okay. Thank you very much. And what do you call that? Back to you, Dr. Asif. Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof, for the insightful clarifications. And thank you, Mr. Said Fanul Haq, for the wonderful presentations. Fine.
Thank you,
Thank you so
sir.
much. Now we move on to back to our previous presenter. Yeah, thank you very much. Who for technical issues could not present. Will be Abe Elizabeth Tosin, a conceptual paper on psychological impact of working from home on university lecturers in Malaysia. If Elizabeth can hear me, of Mary Jane wants to do the presentation, please over to you. Thank you.
Okay, let me share my screen. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me, doctor.
Yes, if you can enlarge it, kindly please, your screen.
Can you see the screen now, doc?
Okay, relatively better. Yes, we can see now. Please continue.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocol duly observed. My name is Mbashuku Mary Jane. My name is Mbashuku Mary Jane Adobe. I'm from Nigeria, to be precise. Okay, it's supposed to be Abba Elizabeth that is supposed to present this paper, but her system is malfunctioning, so I have to take over. The paper title is A Conceptual Paper on the Psychological Impact of Working from Home on University Lecturers in Malaysia. Co-authors Mbashuku Merijan Adobe, Vasaki Vanisaga, and AP Dr. Nadia Fahana. Introduction. The COVID-19 pandemic has practically changed the face of work, bringing extraordinary changes in the way industries, businesses, and the global workforce now operate, including the education sector. We know that in Malaysia, early January 2020, that's last year, COVID-19 pandemic spread, and everybody was like being worried. And it affected many industries, businesses, which education sector was among. So according to YANS 2020, people have been working from home to maintain social distances, as it is discovered as the most effective strategy to reduce the risk of coronavirus infection among employees. So because of this COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of strategies was brought to place in order to carry on with work, instead of pausing many sectors, like educational sector now brought online teaching as one of the things to carry on with teaching and lecturing. Then background of the study, COVID-19 in Malaysia started with 3 Chinese nationals in January 2020, like I mentioned earlier, has increased to over 1 million to date. There had been 1,438 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with 7,994 deaths, but also a total of 13,621,884 vaccine doses has been administered. World Health Organization 2020. When an event or a series of events begin to trouble the emotional state of an individual, there is possibility of such events resulting into symptoms of anxiety and even depression increase. Litzin et al. 2019. Aim of this research. The aim of this research is to identify the psychological impact of work from home on university lecturers from the previous research work, and a coping strategy to enhance more productivity. Because like I mentioned, it's a conceptual work. So we reviewed most of the work did by other researchers. Literature review, authors and year, brief contents, journal name, main findings. Litzin et al. 2019, on his work on the psychological society, says strategies such as suicide has far-reaching impacts, as the suicide of professors will more and alarm Grant tells this discussion. In US, there are reports of mental disabilities, illness. Understanding and addressing mental health issues in academia is vitally important to support wellness. Then Sean 2020 says, increase in the mental stress and possibility of burnout among tertiary education employees. On his journal, Penang Institute Crisis Assessment. Based on a survey conducted by Lambert Botdoc, there are 63% respondents who choose to work at the office or their current workplace. From the survey, 55% stated the staff are facing disturbance at home as the main challenges for them. 35% facing motivational issue. 33% no specific workplace. 32% cut off salary. 31% managing office workload, and 30% afraid of losing their job. Samiwati et al. 2021, work from home can make the people's life so simple and flexible, but is detrimental to staff's mental health and can create anxiety and depression, according to his findings. Literature review, theoretical framework, theory of stress and coping developed by J. Warenga, 2008, from work of Lazarus and Folkman, 1984, theory of life satisfaction, theory of gratitude, stress or primary, secondary coping response. Then research methodology. This, like I mentioned earlier, This study is a conceptual paper. We have reviewed some literatures from previous research, which has helped us in identifying some of the psychological impacts of work at home on university lecturers. This psychological impact does not only affect university lecturers, but other employees too, which therefore means this concept can be applicable to all sectors, not just lecturers or educational sector. Research objectives. The objective of this study will therefore be to identify from previous research, because it's a conceptual paper, like I mentioned, previous research, the psychological impact of work from home on university lecturers in Malaysia and how it can be improved to enhance productivity. Research questions. What is the psychological impact of work from home on university lecturers? Is as identified from previous research. What strategy or concept can be used for coping from these impacts to enhance productivity? Summary of findings. Authors, challenges identified and prospects identified. XA 2001, true work from home makes the working life so simple and flexible. It actually is detrimental to staff mental health. Working remotely also can create anxiety and depression. It makes working life simple and flexible. Nadia and Exum 2020, the inconsistency in teaching quality, social emotional competence issues. Then under the contribution, it says, this study contributes to the body of knowledge as a psychological study, and the conceptual work can be applied to other areas of life. That's the findings from this study will contribute to the body of knowledge as a psychological study, and the conceptual work can be applied to other areas of life, apart from lecturers. Their recommendation. This study recommends that other researchers could consider carrying out a survey on this concept. It is saying that apart from we carrying out research on this particular topic, that also other researchers should also carry out a survey on this concept. This could also be applied to other employees in other sectors, not just lecturers. Businesses, health sectors, they can also apply this in their sector. Also, it is highly recommended for employees to look into how to help their employees by providing necessary facilities such as internet to make their work from home easier. Because this is another issue faced by working from home, because at times the internet are not strong to work from home. Lecturers are faced with this issue, and students might not really like it. Not just from lecturer's side, even from the student side, there may be internet problem. With gratitude mentality, employees should express themselves and needs to their employers or whatever challenge they may be facing as they work from home. In this paper, we recommend also that whatever the lecturers are facing, they should be glad about it. They should not allow themselves to be weighed down mentally. And also the employees should express themselves, whatever they need, maybe during their course of working from home, they should share it with their employers in order to know their challenges, so that that challenges will be tackled immediately in order to result to productivity. We also recommend that the government also makes this policy to favor individuals and organizations as this is a trying time for all. This work from home, that the government should look into it and make this policy favorable for everybody, especially the lecturers. Organizations should also consider extending some form of assistance, tangible or intangible, to their employees to help with the challenges faced. We recommend that if this new norm has indeed come to stay, adequate provision and review should be critically considered to avoid mental health issues. In conclusion, it says, mental health issues can lead to negative impact on an individual or the development of organization. It can affect the productivity level of an organization, and the way an individual responds to it matters a lot, because that will determine the outcome they get from it. In any organization, it is important to ensure that the workers are happy, because that will definitely boost and enhance their productivity level. It is very necessary to make sure that the people you employ are happy working from home. Because when they are happy working from home, like encouraging them, giving them incentive, when they are happy working from home, it will lead to productivity, definitely. This study, therefore, has profiled a solution to that in order to help university lecturers cope well with any kind of stressor that they could want to threaten their mental health. Gratitude has been identified as a position, problem-focused coping intervention or strategy for university lecturers to enable them stay positive and to enhance their positivity, as it could help them out of the psychological impacts of work from home or any kind of stressor. The resultant effect of work from home could be positive or negative, depending on how each individual handles it. Being emotional over any issue does not solve the challenge, neither does withdrawing from the same. That this psychological impact of working from home can be negative or positive, depending on the individual, how you manage the stress or the depression at that particular point. Gratitude helps one to see positivity in every situation and take creative action, which could enhance productivity. When you are happy in what you are doing, always be glad and happy. You will see that there is productivity. This study, therefore, concludes that gratitude is a vital positive strategy to coping with the psychological impact of new norm of working from home, which was enforced by the threatened sector, COVID-19. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Singh, for this great opportunity. Maybe you can allow Elizabeth to conclude as she's back.
Okay, please carry on, Elizabeth, to conclude kindly.
I'm very sorry about what happened. I am very sorry, and I think if we look at it from a positive angle, or whichever angle we want to look at it, it's part of the effect of, let's say, the work from home, because we could have technical issues, we could have things like this could actually come up when you, say, for example, a lecturer has a class. You're supposed to be in the class with students and all that, and something like this comes up. So these are some of the things, these are part of it. It could actually get you worried and say, bothered about whatever the whole scenario. But I really, really apologize again for what happened. From what Mary Jane had explained, thank you, Mary Jane. From what she had explained, there are some places I would like to just talk, like I'd like to go over again. If I given the time, can I do that?
No, you have to kindly conclude it. You have already exhausted the 10 minutes time, Elizabeth.
All right. Okay. So to conclude the study, basically what the study actually is about, the psychological impact of work from home on university lecturers, and we were able to identify some of the psychological impacts from previous research done, which it's in the table. It was it's been I think the table before the conclusion. There we wrote the different the psychological impacts. We're talking about depression, because we viewed different articles from past research work and discovered that the issue of mental health was a particular like on top, was a major one. So, and that is why we came up with the concept of the gratitude approach. I don't know if Meridian, can you go up, please, to that, can you go up to that place? Just that I want to explain to the diagram.
Okay.
Not this one.
Which one?
Okay, I'll start
Is
with
it
this
the
diagram.
conceptual framework?
This.
Is it this?
Okay, yes, you can just. Okay, so this diagram just basically explains what we had in the conceptual. We're able to come up with the conceptual framework, and whereby we combine three theories: theory of life satisfaction, theory of stress and coping, and also the theory of gratitude. You know, from study, it has been said that gratitude is one is a protective variable, and it's one side that people have not really explored. Now the truth is, there's a stressor. We all know that this thing comes as it could actually bring stress to anyone, affect the mental health. But to be able to cope, in order to cope with this situation, you look at it from two angles. Is this thing something that can be controlled or cannot be controlled? Can it be controlled or it cannot be controlled? So in a situation whereby, that angle is called the primary appraisal. You are appraising the situation in the primary aspect, like, okay, can this particular thing that I'm facing, can it be controlled or it cannot be controlled? And before you think about anything, rather than being faced with emotions, because when you allow yourself to be faced with emotions, there's every likelihood to withdraw from the situation. There's every likelihood for more depression, anger, and it actually leads to negative outcome. But we're saying now that when there is gratitude, when gratitude is being infused into this, when gratitude comes in as an intervention, you have the right mindset. You have a positive mindset towards solving that problem. Take, for example, not having maybe your workspace in the house. The workspace in the house where you need to work, there are a lot of issues and all that. First, the fact that you even have a job is something to be grateful for. The fact that you are even alive, a lot of people are gone. I mean, there are no more today. But the fact that one is even alive is something to first, you need to calm down on that and then think about your possible solutions. Think about when you take it from this angle, from this angle, you're able to think about how to solve the problem and come up with creative, positive solutions. Like, for example, the place of putting your workspace right and all that, because that will like it or not, the work from home method has come. Yes, it's a new norm, and we need to adapt to it. Either ways, it needs to be. We need to adapt to it. So we need to look for strategies, pending the time, whatever the situation, whatever the outcome is. Okay, whatever the outcome is, we need to look from it so that it can actually lead to having a satisfactory life. Because according to the theory of life satisfaction. So that agent, is happy when his needs, those things are particular things that they need, or maybe the things that you have already budgeted, planned for the year, maybe those things are being met. Perhaps those things are being met. So looking at the situation of things, there's every likelihood to be discouraged that, oh, everything that I've planned for the year cannot be achieved, my work, all those kind of things. But looking at things from this angle, there is every possibility for productivity. So so I've just hold on for questions. I don't know if.
Thank you very much,
Sorry about
and Mary Jane, for the presentation. May I kindly request Professor Dr. Sudesh for any questions and clarification, Prof?
Thank you, Prof. Asif. I just want to clarify on your what do you call that conceptual framework that you build. How did you actually build this? I mean, it has a lot of elements in it. So how did you actually build this conceptual framework? Is it from a theory or is it from a literature? How did you build this?
Okay, sir. The conceptual framework, because our paper is a conceptual paper, and we came up with 3 different theories, considering the most identified issues, the most identified issue among the most identified challenge for lecturers during this period, which talks more of stress, being stressed and all that. So we're able to come up, work on the theory of stress and coping by J. Walinga in 2008. And also the theory of life satisfaction by Sukanim in 2011, where it said that the whole life satisfaction theory, that it says that an agent is happy when a more informed and rational hypothetical version of her would judge that the agent's actual life matches the best life plan for her. And looking at this thing, that means that an agent expects that despite everything that is going on, despite that I cannot achieve my goals, despite that there's still something that I can still be happy, even if what I've planned does not yield to how it's been planned. Because looking at the situation now, a lot of people plan so many. Maybe you had plans for the year that I want to achieve this, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it doesn't go that way. Or maybe even being at home, working from home. So many issues, like from some of the issues that we identified, especially for women, there is decrease in publication. There is the issue of children, disturbing women in the house. You can't really concentrate. You can't. So there are different kind of issues. So now using the theory of gratitude as the intervention because it's a positive psychology, because this, looking at it from the angle of the stress, and then how will I still achieve my desired satisfaction even at the end of everything. So that was why we also introduced the intervention, the gratitude intervention, the gratitude as a coping intervention, because according to Woods in according to Woods et al. In 2008, it says gratitude operates as a protective variable and as a positive attribution, which may protect people from becoming stressed and depressed, particularly in times of threatening life events. Grateful people could change their environment or situation in ways that make them less depressing and stressful. Gratitude could also modify the cause of depression, bringing quicker recovery and positive attitude towards issues of life that could usually be longer or unbearable. So that is how we came up with it. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. What do you call that? Prof. Asif, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Mary Jane, for the presentation. All right. Okay, now we have, okay, now I would like to request my own good self to come and present one conceptual paper that is co-authored by Professor Dr. Icwfh and co-authored by Professor Joseph Kalam. So I'll just share the screen. Okay, allow me. Yeah. So we're talking about windows into work from home in higher education institutions, challenges of new normal culture in management. Okay. To start with, the least one would expect of an academic institution of higher learning as a provider of knowledge delivery and practice, depending on the nature. Curricula, the program and the standard operating procedures, SOP, governance, and the compliance is to become increasingly immersed in the advocacy practice of the new normal culture. Work from home has never been the same again since the concept years ago in good economic times, an experimental employer-employee model on working managing choices started as an option of the corporate world to allow its employees to improve productivity with the liberty of work from home environment. Today, under the hovering cloud of death-threatening COVID epidemic and the virus vaccination against its host of mutations, work from home is reshaped by a culture of new norms taught by the new normal. It is more than an issue of survival, but essentially a solution-driven commitment to grow a new direction for education delivery of content, methods, and other paraphernalia of teaching learning tools for beneficiaries, communities, societies, and country to generate new values and winning strategies in public interest. In this paper, ISOS, the Institutional Survival on Subsistence, and ISOWS, the Institution Solution of Winning Strategies, are tended as value conserving and value creating complementary platforms without compromising the functional philosophical foundation of education. As a provider of knowledge delivery and practice depending on the nature, curricula, programs, and SOPs of governance and compliance, private institutions of higher educations, the IPTS, are left with limited, if not no choice, but to reinvent themselves to be more relevant-centric approach. Under such circumstances, they have become increasingly self-centered on ISOS, the institutional survival on sustenance, justified or otherwise, to remain operational with seemingly unpopular to internal clients, the staff and employees, yet realistic from owners, managers' perspective. Moves to stabilize organizational disruptions in the unrelenting waves of a 2-year-old COVID-19 pandemic, plus the virulent emergence of the Delta episodes. The new normal culture, like the IPTS, the public institutions of higher educations, IPTA, too suffer the backlash of COVID repercussions, but to a lesser extent in terms of student numbers and also correspondingly the degree of severity in terms of restrained government budgetary allocations. These aspects become more critical and urgent as the escalation of the advocacy practice of the new normal culture intensified, ensuring the enormous impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. They are all compelled to review, analyze, discuss, and other solutions to reduce and obviate the unintended consequences of the lockdowns, prohibitive policies, requirements, initiated business, and anticipate the consumerism and restrictive mobility in public places and premises of business complexes. A new culture, by nomenclature including the new normal, is a necessary imperative that is only bounded by the limitation of the human mind. The prevailing ways of doing things, otherwise known as culture of work, specifically, or culture of organization generally, cannot function like before. They must be renovated partially, if not fully, to match with the pressing COVID strains. Culture of OWS simply defines solutions of winning strategies. OWS refers to the art of science and designing, the executing and managing of strategic plan to achieve operations and transformation goals of sustaining, improving, and growing business. In this context, it is necessitates moving the inertia of COVID-arrested business status quo to a virile motion of maneuverable steps to innovate the detailed dynamics of the business of higher education today. In short, the proposed set of solutions is directed at convincing both a rethink of strategic management in competitive advantage and criteria set of proposed winnable strategies to turn around the organizational lethargy of reduce, eliminate, discard, the RED practices in ISOS into convertible practical action planned for carries independent of IPTS. This requires the formulation of a motivational approach to generate, revitalize, enrich, engage networking. It's a green acronym to propel the energizing booster. Content analysis. Prevailing normative culture and the conventional SOPs of higher institutions of learning are in its delivery of crisis management and managing must now become a phenomenological expression of the new reality to operate the education more effective and efficiently. The fundamental of education cannot be compromised. That is, education is the process, a continuous but lifelong staggered knowledge acquisition, learning, application over time, circumstances and opportunities, with and outside the canons of the organizational settings and throughout various modes and personalities of deliberate and voluntary deliveries that culminate into a formalized award of certificates. There may be compromises along the way by both institutions and private and public institutions of higher education, especially in challenging times of COVID-19 threats and restrictive online subscribed self-dependent study of work from home. This may take numerous forms, including better flexible allowance or option for retake or receipts an unsatisfactory or failed result at specified time and space. The issues of compromise requires a give and take consensus for mutual benefits without the stigma of face loss or the need to invoke political intervention against the bureaucratic obstinacy. In this way, as a form of encouragement to perform better or to remedy inadvertent weakness of the platform credibly, the process, education, progress, and the spirit of knowledge learning application. This is of paramount importance because, as Mahatma Gandhi said, any compromise, one mere fundamental is a surrender, but it is all give and take, whereas all compromise is based on give and take. Finally, the recommendations. A better option is to reduce, if not eliminate, the demoralizing impact on core or critical academic staff through the unequitable and threatening practices of ISOS, because an institution of higher education in a larger and integral part is constituted by a credible community of qualified and experienced academic staff, even though key administrative support staff are necessary, although the latter can be substituted with a better part of technology management applications. Hence, the movement of ISOWS is a logical move that promote translating creative ideas into innovative products and actions. Therefore, it is recommended that there must be a closure to existing and often incremental false start, strong finish agenda, action, and cold storage respective practices that no longer enable meaningful and productive exchanges between the IPTS, IPTA, and the MOE and the MQA. This is important because closure does not mean failure. It suggests a willingness to dispense away with expired shelf life and inactive issues and restart a more active engagement. Work from home does in fact provides the actualization mechanism to achieve this purposive direction to implement. In conclusion, this paper, Work from Home, adopts the definition by the International Labour Organization 2020, which refers uniquely to home-based working, teleworking as a temporary alternative working arrangement. It requires a shared responsibility and commitment by both employers and the workers to ensure business continuity and employment. Icwfh, the institutional survival on sustenance, and Isow's, the institutional solution of winning strategies, are authors' original concept, meaning values conserving and value creating complementary platforms without destroying the fundamental philosophical foundation of education per se and private education in particular. The point is that challenge of new normal culture in management from work from home windows of education institutions can provide new vistas for exploring more innovative approaches to knowledge acquisition discrimination, learning content relevance, and industry technology preference applications. Thank you very much for the kind patience hearing. The floor is open for any clarification, and I'm sure my co-author, Prof. Wu, is also here, can add on for any clarifications. Over to you, dear panelists, for any clarifications, please.
Thank you, Prof. Very significant conclusion. I learned a lot. Just for my information, Prof, do you have any suggestion for future researchers in this domain?
Yes, definitely. There is a suggestion for the future researcher because this particular research is being carried on, especially during the ongoing pandemic. So that's why there is the the constraints of what the pandemic is offering between the employer and the employees perspective and other relation. Future, of course, is there. Post-pandemic study can be done, and a comparative study between pre, during, and post-pandemic will add more value to the work. I believe so.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Any other clarifications, please? It's okay.
No, Prof. Asif, I think it's a very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, thank you, dear panels. So with that, we complete our 5-paper presentations on the psychological track. We now have left with 3 more paper presentations that's on the finance track. So all the way from Malaysia, now I'm moving on to Sultanate of Oman. Our presenter on the finance track today from Sultanate of Oman will be on quality of financial decision on working from home on oil and gas companies in Oman by Ali Hinai, Dr. Rashid Mustafa, and Gerald Paris. Over to you, Mr. Ali Hinai. You can start sharing your screen and you will have 10 minutes for the presentation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope my screen is there and my voice is audible.
Yes, it is audible. You can just maximize your screen. That will be fine. Yeah.
It seems it doesn't want to. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Fine now. Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Asif, and thank you for all the participants. And it's been an honor to be with you guys today to present my paper on the work from home in the International Conference on Work from Home Challenges and Prospects 2021. So my presentation will go through, of course, my name is Ali Al-Hinai from Ali Sulaiman Al-Hinai from Oman, and I'm pleased to be co-authored by Dr. Asif and Dr. Rashid Mustafa, as well as the, sorry, this, it's also Rashid Mustafa and the other one, I forgot the name, sorry. My paper will be about work from home decision quality on oil and gas companies' financial efficiency in Oman. So I'll go through the presentation's structure, which will start from introduction all the way to the question and answers. So to introduce the introduction of this paper was about the remote working and how it will be or significantly enhance the well-being and satisfaction of employees within oil and gas in Oman. Most employees who are eligible for work from home are in finance. This is a good finding, by the way. Companies need to ensure that they have a decent IT infrastructure for managing workflow that ensures productivity. Employees who are doing remote work hold position of authority in their organizations. 69% of the younger managers allow their team members to do remote work, which is work from home mainly. Financial performance improved greatly in 2021 in Oman oil and gas sector. So the background, unfortunately, and it's very sad that we started 2021 with a major loss of Sultan Qaboos, and he been succeeded by Sultan Haytham now, and also the pandemic is started over, and economic crisis started as well. So revenue from oil poised to decline further in 2021 and 2020 after the pandemic set off massive wave of falling global demand. That impacted the economy dramatically. Organizations should try to be a companies of the future. This is one of the findings that we could elaborate more during the course of this presentation. World Health Organization requested government to maintain social and physical distancing. Work from home is a new reality, so everyone talked about it, and it will be a reality. Decision quality metrics and financial performance in the new working theme will be the guide of this presentation and my study on this. So moving from background to the aim of the research is, my aim is to explore the relationship between the quality of the decision-making metrics and the financial performance in Oman oil and gas sector. And we'll go through 6 metrics of decision-making, inshallah. Study the work from home impact on financial performance in Oman oil and gas sector, and study the impact of technology readiness and inclusion of work from home efficiency. This is the main 3 pillars of or the objectives of the study. From the literature review, I have been reading a lot of articles and journals about the case, and I found mainly 3 authors that have, or 4, sorry, that have produces a good write-up about the pandemic and its impact. So the revenue from oil and gas are now poised to decline further into 2020 after the pandemic set off massive wave of falling global demand. This article being developed by Philip Correll in 2020. Also, Philip Cornell 2020 shed light on Oman kickstart robust recovery process and drive modification in the oil and gas sector in the backdrop in the finite reserves and unstable oil market. Andira, Dew, Gracia, Rashmi, and Adiras in 2020, they explored that the most prominent and established Indonesian energy companies were slow to adopt work from home. And that will come through the study, inshallah. Shaping regulation will be of great importance, and the enforcing of standards of operating will benefit both market and industry leaders. This is Matrino 2021 study. Oil and gas employer find it challenging to attract the best new technological, digital, and commercial talent. This is Matrino 2020 as well. So the methodology we have gone through is that 4 elements. We have combined all the methodology that can help us to get all this information to produce this paper. We will go through the literature from journals, books, and articles and review to capture the available information about the pandemic and its impact on organizations. So literature review is part of the methodology. Surveys also, they will be one of the great help. And we are using here the Likert scale from 1 to 5, illustrating implementation of decision quality matrix within the oil and gas. Also, we have conducted interviews with some of the oil and gas leaders in Oman, asking their opinion and how they tackle the impact of the COVID-19 in their company. Historical data of one of the largest companies in Oman also been used to illustrate the effectiveness of work from home decisions on our company's financial performance. So the summary of findings regarding the decision quality matrix. The decision quality matrix has been used here is the decisions are contributing to the overall effectiveness of the company. And the result is 4.07, which is out of 5, by the way. Decisions are consistent with the company's strategy. Decisions are helping the company achieve its objective. Decisions are based on valid assumption. Decisions are linked to the company's financial situation. Decisions are based on the best available information. So oil and gas in Oman have mature implementation level based on this result. Oil and gas in Oman have matured implementation level of the decision quality matrix. Therefore, they maintained 70% of their employees working from home during 2020 till date. So Oman oil and gas companies are still working on 70% work from home. The good news that in 2021, once they adapted the situation, it shows the very good improvement on financial situation. So the historical data from the company that I observed reveals that improvement in financial 2021 performance is greater than the situation in 2020. So we found that 37% improvement in the financial part, comparing with 54% loss in 2020. So how is that comes? Through the finding that Oman oil and gas companies have survived the challenges brought by COVID-19 by being agile, proactive, and flexible while leveraging its excellent IT infrastructure setup. How is that? Because the companies are giving all the employees the facility and the connectivity within their payroll as well. So they give laptops as well the mobile data access. So that's why majority of the employees were working from home conveniently. Oil and gas companies with a strong IT infrastructure was fast change their work environment seamlessly and maintained sustainability. As we can see from the previous slide, how the financial improved greatly because of the way of dealing with the pandemic. 75% of employees are just as productive or even more productive while working from home. That was the findings of the study. The contribution, this study sheds light on how the decision quality matrix implementation impacted financial performance in oil and gas sector in Oman. It's first of its kind to explore work from home impact on financial performance in Oman's oil and gas sector. The study opens the door to explore work from home effectiveness in other sectors. The combination of qualitative and quantitative methodology produces a tangible result, even with time limitation and less population sample. The population sample, by the way, I did not mention that. It is 107 employees from oil and gas. So the recommendation for this study, more research and exploration on the work from home topic to answer the following questions. How work from home uphill trend will shape the business future? How work from home can grant more flexibility and freedom for the employees? What are the factors affecting work from home deployment beside IT infrastructure? And this question, by the way, is partially being answered from the previous paper presentations. Actually, I've noticed that some of these concerns is being answered. In conclusion, it was reported that the literature that 70% of CEOs of large companies plan to downsize their office space. This is actually a new exploration, because I thought that all the companies needs to have a larger workspace. Work from home has witnessed an uphill trend for nearly 2 decades and no end in the near future or in the forecast. So work from home can give an edge to companies. Also, it can grant more flexibility and freedom for the employees. Leveraging its excellent IT infrastructure setup, Oman oil and gas companies have survived the challenges brought by COVID-19, being agile, proactive, and flexible, maintaining 70% of their employees working from home. That's all for my paper, and I hope I have explained everything. It's to you, Dr. Asif.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali Hinai, for the
I was so conservative for the time, by the way.
Panel?
I was so
Yes,
conservative for
thank you
the
very
timing.
much to keep that. Thank you for that one. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Okay. Over to you, Prof. Dr. Sudesh, for any clarification, please.
No, I think it was a very clear and what I call that good presentation, especially in the financial terms and explaining how Al-Qabus works. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Dr. Media, any clarifications, anything?
Yes, Prof. Thank you, Mr. Ali. Very well organized presentation and very clear, as
My
Prof.
pleasure.
Sudesh mentioned. I want to ask, do you think that decision-making quality has been changed from
Yes.
before the pandemic and currently? The quality
Exactly.
changed.
Yes, the decisions, first of all, before pandemic, the decision was not being measured, by the way, because there is no records of the decisions and how the impact is. But while using work from home, the technology helps a lot of tracking the decision, how it impacted the business, and how they agile in changing their decisions. So it was flexible of changing decision easily during the pandemic. That's why we can notice that the financial situation is being improved dramatically in 2021 because of decision quality matrix is being implemented in a very good shape. Hope I answered your question.
That's great. Yeah, it means that we learn from the crisis how to qualify the decision making.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, thank you. Very
My
significant
pleasure.
information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Media. Thank you very much, Prof. Sudesh and Ali Hinai, for the wonderful presentation and the interactions. Now, from Sultanate of Oman, we move on to North America. We go to Canada. So we have another paper presentation on the finance track the practice of working from home triggered by COVID-19 pandemic, financial management implication in organizations globally by Olawal Amuzat and Dr. Gopal Segaran. Over to you, Amuzat. You can start sharing the screen. Thank you. I think you have to unmute yourself, Amuzat. Yeah.
Can you see my screen though? Let me see. One moment,
Yes,
please.
you can start sharing the screen. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, can you see that now? Is it clear? Can you see it? Is it audible? Okay.
Yes, it is clear.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You're
good morning,
audible?
good afternoon. Okay, yeah. Good morning, good afternoon. It's actually 2:52 a.m. right now. So thanks to the opportunity given by the lecturers, I want to thank the guests for coming around, colleagues, and every one of us. My name is Wale Amzat. I'm calling from Canada. And thanks to the co-author too, Dr. Gopal Sagaran. So the introduction itself, the practice of working from home caused by the COVID-19 itself looks set beyond what we're thinking about, the health crisis, as you can see. Presently, most of us are working from home, but the post-pandemic itself has been met with split views by every one of us, considering both from the employer standpoint and also the employee standpoint. And the effects is so massive from the HR, human resources, information technology, and also the effects on the financial management implication it has globally. But thanks to the proactive measures by the leaders in different industries. So background to the research. As you know, there's reality on ground. But what do? Many companies have been proactive by making the employees to work remotely, be it on part-time basis or full-time. New policies are being put in place, working from home, but unfortunately, no one ever prepared for it. So what happened? There's no excuses. Work has to be done. Productivity has to go on. But with that, so much effort were put into in place, and that helps a lot. So basically, the aim of the research itself is just to identify the challenges and prospects of remote work. And what are we talking about? Managers themselves or leaders in the industry, they need to understand the factors that can make remote work especially demanding. Considering the fact that there are so many high-performing employees who may experience decline in job performance, and we know the huge financial effect it might have on the company itself. And what do? There could be in the absence of preparation and training as confirmed by many of us. But in the absence of challenges, there's also prospects. By being proactive, ineffective measures can be done by the leaders in the industries. And how do they ease the tension? By establishing either daily checks on them, to give them awareness, to encourage them, to give them sense of encouragement and emotional support, which is important. And also the introduction of information technology that could help the work to go with easy flow, like the introduction of WebEx, Google Meets, intranet within the company itself, and continuous support from time to time. The literature review was strictly based on Harvard Business Review, and is just the author is Tinsdale, Nelly, 2020, and is centered around 15 questions about remote work, the worries, the effects, and how it was answered. And another one from Barbara Lessing, Susan Roman, and Erin Macarius, 2022, a guide to managing your remote workers, which is huge. And finally, by Martin E.P., Building Resilience. Despite the challenges, how do you build your resilience? And the findings is strictly based on what business can learn from a pioneering Army program for fostering post-traumatic growth. There are challenges, but how do you feel forward or fall forward? The research methodology adopted a strictly qualitative approach. Interviews were conducted amongst my colleagues. The ones I could meet face-to-face with, I did that, putting in consideration of the COVID, of course, social distancing and everything was put in place. And some part of it were done through Zooms by colleagues, former colleagues in different industries too. And what was the basis of the interview itself? It's just to elicit feelings, but we're talking about psychological feelings here. Thoughts, what are the opinions? What do they think? And if there's any previous experience, but some of them had the opportunity of working from home before the COVID itself, but now it's strictly compulsion, and that is a new shift of policies. The research objectives aligns of the international conference aligns with my own objective too, and that is examining new norms of working from home from a social and professional perspective, and also promoting professional interaction and emotional well-being, and also to identify mechanisms to ensure productivity is not compromised. There are issues, but productivity cannot be compromised. There's financial application to that challenges. And based on the objectives, the questions that poses or aligns with the objectives are organizations prepare for this sudden transition? How does working from home affect psychological health, psychological implication? And how will these changes affect productivity, the financial implication? Summary of findings is broad and is centered around the people I interviewed with, but it poses a questions that calls for meditation in the course of the interview. And some of the questions that came into play was, what's the first thing that leaders and individual managers can do to help the employers get ready? What should people who aren't accustomed to remote work do to get psychologically ready for it? There's a policy, you have to work from home, but what is the psychological effects? It goes just beyond adopting policies. And how does working from home affect their psychological health? What can employers do to make sure that people are staying focused, committed, and happy? But they could resign, they could choose to go on vacation. There's huge financial implication in all this. Contribution is strictly centered around my personal experience, coming from the employee point of view and also from the employer point of view. On a personal level as an employee, life itself has always taught me to be prepared. Things happen. If it happens, how do you move around? How flexible are you? Are you able to make adjustments wherever you find yourself in an unforeseen circumstances? How do you build your resilience in the face of a crisis? Is very critical. That's my approach and the approach of some of my colleagues I interviewed too. On a personal level, at the initial stage of the COVID itself, I had mixed feelings too. Working from home, considering my personality as an extrovert, will it affect my social skills, mental skill, or mental state of health? Financial, is there going to be financial implication? Am I going to lose my job? So many things keep cropping into me. Not only was I able to accept it, but I had to fail forward or fall forward. Firstly, I had to sharpen my information technology skills, because we're depending on the IT department while at work, but now you're on your own. You have to start figuring so many things, which enables me to meet my colleagues from time to time. And the financial reward for me was massive. I mean, I was able to save on daycare, monthly payments on gas, eating out. Time management too was also key for me. And as we know, time is money. And that has reduced the number of hours spent on transit daily for me. And on a psychological level too, it made me to bond more with my family by being more around for their physical and emotional well-being. You can never quantify that. And from the employer point of view, there are huge rewards. There's a shift from working from office to mobile work arrangements to hybrid style of working, which saves on the rents. And also the bills, the energy bills, there was savings. Cleaning the offices, the office supplies, there was huge savings as well, because I work in the public sector. And again, going from paper to paperless, that's going green. You can never quantify all that. It's huge savings. My recommendation is there are challenges. How do you move around it? Build your resilience in the face of crisis. And the way to overcome this natural tendency is to build our mental resilience through mindfulness. Mental resilience, especially in challenging times like the present, means managing our minds in a way that increases our ability to before it strikes us. Resilience is the skill of noticing our own thoughts, unhooking from the non-constructive ones, and rebalancing quickly. This skill can be nurtured and trained. And about 3 effective strategies can help. You have to calm your mind. Look out the window, get fresh air. Connect with others through compassion. And let us remember, health is wealth, so everything is tied together. Psychological effects mingled, tied with the financial effects. Health is wealth. And in conclusion, I believe that for every dark night comes a bright day. So for me, it's about building your resilience in the face of crisis. And there's a popular saying, tough times never last, but tough people do. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you very much, Shamusat, for the presentation. Dear panel, Dr. Media, anything want to be clarified first?
Thank you for your presentation. Very wonderful. Okay. Motivation, satisfaction, productivity currently is very important indicator when we're speaking about work from home. Reaching to that level, it's very difficult. I want to ask you, because you have done this study, I want to ask you, do you have any suggestion for managers to keep increasing staff motivation, how we can motivate staff?
Okay. If I get it correctly, it's actually a situational approach. There's no right or wrong answer. You have to really identify your target audience first. Who are your people that work with you? And it's also subjective. And how do you go about it? You have to really have one-on-one discussion with every individual. Because our motivation level differs. Some could be financial, some could be maybe a pat at the back, or maybe a piece of notes, or just an email to say thank you, or just to check on them. So I think everybody is quite different, but on a general note, you have to send thank you email, chat to them once in a while. If they are stressed, have a conversation with them. How can you diffuse the situation? Then, of course, if there are opportunity for bonuses, why don't you just give them an increase or a bonus? Or maybe a sit out, though it's not possible in a time of crisis, but at least you could just buy them lunch or send them a gift card. That would be just my honest opinion. I hope it does answer your question, though.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Appreciation. Currently, it's very important. Feel like as a staff that my boss appreciate my work from home. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Media. Prof. Sudesh, anything, doctor, you want to ask?
No, it was good that he said what you call need to give bonus. Prof. Asi, maybe you want to highlight that one later with our boss. But anyway, one of the main things I wanted to ask was, do you think trust is one of the main important role in your study?
Yes, trust is very key. I mean, without trust, so many things will go wrong, right? In a typical organization, we are behind the camera, we don't know what is happening. I can wear my boxers and be working at the same time, but still the work has to be done. So really, it's about efficiency and effectiveness, all those things that work together. If I trust the people around me, or the people who work with me, or my boss trusts me, sometimes there won't be need for them to be checking the buttons if it's green or red, but it's about deliverables at the end of the day, which is the outputs.
So when you're talking about efficiency, just want to find out from you, do you think efficiency has increased in the terms of work from home?
I think it varies from industry to industry. I can only talk about my industry because the work that has been given to me on a personal level, there has not been issues, and there has been recommendation and commendation. And that is the most important thing. Sometimes you even find out you even work more working from home because you want to get everything right, despite all the distractions from if you have a family, from the kids, and maybe side attractions, you want to do one or two things. But as a matured employee, you have to be sure that the deliverables are still there, even if your manager is either maybe not micromanaging you or checking on you. You just have to get the job done. So it is what it is.
Okay, I agree with you. Thanks, Prof. Asif. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Dr. Sudesh and Dr. Media, and of course the presenter Amuzad for the wonderful paper. Okay, we have come on to our last presenter today, who is from Sultanate of Oman. And though he was saying that he has some issues with his presentation, a camera, but I'm not so sure. But still, I'm going to call upon. His title of the paper is The Impact of Strategic Planning on the Performance of Governmental Organizations, an empirical study on Oman's 5-year plan, 2011-2015 by Muhammad Hatem Jan Al-Balushi, co-authored by Dr. Mui Wakian and Dr. Media Yusufi. Are you able to hear me, Hatem Jan?
Yes, hello, Dr. Professor Asif.
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
But camera is still problem.
Yes, you were saying that your camera is having an issue, but can you share the screen and present?
I trying now, still there is a problem, but I can present.
Yeah, just present it, no issues, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
on.
welcome all attendees. Thank you to Binary University for giving me the opportunity to participate in this conference. I am pleased to share with you in this conference experience of working from home at the government organizations in Oman. As we know, the pandemic of COVID-19 was first announced in early December of 2019. As a result, in March of 2020, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus that caused COVID-19 disease, which is spread throughout the world as a global pandemic. Then the countries around the world respectively started declaring a state of emergency and taking precautionary measures to confront this pandemic. In the Sultanate of Oman, a state of emergency and general lockdowns related to the COVID-19 pandemic was actually announced in April 2020. Work from home was implemented in the beginning of May 2020. Accordingly, people were forced to stay at home to prevent the spread of the pandemic and reduce mixing with others, which led most sectors to work remotely from home for the first time. This has become an opportunity for government to experience the effectiveness of working from home and applying of all kinds of communication in order to complete transactions online. Previously, many transactions were available to be done online from home, but many employees did not have the chance to work from home. In the beginning, the desire of many employees was still weak to complete their work and by the internet from home. This experience gave chance for result between the for trust between the employees, clients, and employers to complete work from home. prospects of working from home that increase job satisfaction and enhance working commitment to the organization, help to improve employees' performance, reduce work-related stress and tension, minimize transportation costs, enjoy more flexible work hours, feeling more freedom to accomplish work independently, have more time to family relation and social communication. Challenge of working from home. Lack of complete readiness of organization facing weak internet problem and service interruption. Existence of many technical problem. Many people are unfamiliar with the use of electronic applications. Many portals were not fully configured. Disadvantages of working from home. Social and occupational isolation, difficulty to separate work time from personal time, conflict between family obligations and work duties, the effect of work duties on family time, employees continue working after official hours, which make them to become tired. Constant connect with electronic system make employees feel that their work does not end. After many countries announced the reduction of measures to confront the COVID-19 pandemic and the gradual of employees return back to their workplace, the researchers point out that there are still some employees prefer to continue working from home even after the end of this pandemic for reasons including ensuring personal health, safety, taking care of family and children, balancing the needs of life and work. Employees believe that the danger surrounding them in light of the use of transportation crowded with passengers as well as their communication with other within the work environment. Lack of confidence from organizations measure to protect employees in the work environment and provide them with complete safety. Currently, although prospective employees of government organization in Oman are still encouraged to continue working from their homes. This is critical to ensuring that the risk of potential infection is kept to minimum level. The government is declaring that the directive regarding enabling employees to continue working from home has been extended since April 21 to date. The same approach was also implemented in government companies and private companies. In general, there has become an obsession for everyone in the state that employees should continue working from home until the end of the pandemic. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Mr. Hatanjan. Dr. Media, anything, or rather I not ask you, you are a co-author, sorry. Prof. Sudesh, please.
Okay, hi. A good presentation, but Prof. Asif, can you hear me?
Yes, Prof.
So do you think there is further research on this paper?
Excuse me?
Do you think there will be further research on this paper?
Sorry, not clear.
Do you think you will have further research on this paper?
Okay, yes, in future, I planning to extend further studies in this topic.
In what context?
And experience working from home.
No, I understand that. That's a major. I mean, that's a main field. But in what other context?
Yeah, working from home and it has impact on employees' behavior.
So how do you think it has impacted people? Let's say now this thing is we have moved on. Like for example, meetings and all these things are done online right now. When let's say COVID has already been suppressed, do you think this norm or this culture will can stay?
I think a lot of habits can change as a result of this pandemic. And a lot of change in lifestyle will.
Okay. Anyway, thank you. Okay, Prof. Asif, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Sudesh. Okay, thank you, Mohammad Hatem Janbeloshi. Okay, with that, we have actually come to an end for the day one of the paper presentation. So actually, in this day one of paper presentation, we had in total 200 minutes of interactive sessions. So that is something, the time just passed by, we did not notice. So we had over 200 minutes of code interactive sessions from keynote speaker, a special address. Then we had 8 paper presentations and 5 on the social and psychology track and 3 on the finance track. And I mean, it really feels very nice to inform that we had participants from Australia all the way to North America, in between touching Southeast Asia, Far East, the Middle East, and the African part as well. So we have really covered a good part of the globe in today's session. And it was really very interesting to go through all the papers that we have listened today, especially starting from work from home for the hospitality sector from Mr. Gerald. Then, of course, we talked about, heard about the English learning outcome, the challenges of teaching online in Kumilla, Bangladesh. Thereafter, we had another conceptual paper on the psychological impact of working from home for the university teachers from Mary Elizabeth. We had a paper on the prospects and challenges of working from home in the new norm, the case of Dewey, followed by we had a paper on windows into work from home in higher education institutions, challenges in the new norm, culture in management, followed by quality of financial decision on working from home on the oil and gas sector. Eventually went on to the practice of working from home triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, financial management implications on the organizations globally. And last paper for today was the impact of strategic planning on the performance of governmental organizations, an empirical study on Oman's 5 years plan. So indeed, we have seen quite a variety of papers from different perspectives, which really enlightens that working from home is not limited, but it is really, the scope of the work is really very, very broad, and all aspect of the scope in our daily day-to-day life is been covering up from working from home, in terms of productivity, in terms of efficiency, in terms of relationship, in terms of psychological and social aspect. We have really seen good contribution from the paper presenters, and we have seen a very good interaction session from both of our panelists today, Professor Dr. Sudesh and Dr. Media Icwfh as well. And I thank you all, the dear participants, paper presenters, the panelists who have joined with us for the today's session. And just to remind you that tomorrow also is the last day of this international conference, where again, tomorrow we'll be having seven very interesting paper on the HR track and the legal perspective. And the paper presenters will be again from quite a good part of the globe, starting from Afghanistan to Maldives, from Zimbabwe. We have paper from Malaysia, Bangladesh, China. So very much to look forward for our tomorrow's final day of this international conference. We start with the same link, same Zoom link that we have shared today, same time, 2 p.m. Malaysian Standard Time. So I hope you'll be all joining with us tomorrow. And thank you all dear participants. Stay safe, stay well, and stay happy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
untuk